Hi, John Paul here. Thanks for joining me for the third video in my series on sales and marketing for nice people who hate that kind of thing. Yesterday, I left you thinking about all of the ways in which you might have something to offer the world, something that would help or entertain people, using the things that you've maybe come to take for granted, or even the things that you lack. And I gave you the example of someone who has really made a big name for himself because he lacks a garden. Now, I'm going to try to elaborate on that idea before I come to talking you through the different products and services that you might want to go into in order to deliver to the world some of these things. But I want to restate my original case, which is I'm not urging anyone to give up what they already do and love. I'm sure that you are a very happy, creative person producing some wonderful things. And the only reason you're watching this is because you're curious about whether there is some way in which you can achieve more financial freedom. And that's what I want to help you with. Not to give up what you're already very good at and enjoying. I hope it might help you to make more money out of the thing that you're already enjoying, and it might become a sort of parallel thing. That's up to you. So going back to that idea about looking at what you have and what you can offer the world, I did an audit of my own, and it's several pages long. It's got lots of details. So I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to give you the top line to talk about how some of the things that I've done and been and struggled with and resolved are things that I might want to offer to the world in some way. So I'm an author. I mentioned that before. I could work with other authors on how to build an audience, how to use the internet like I'm doing now, how to put on events, because I've done that. I'm a coach. I told you that I'd spent a lot of money training as a coach. I know lots of brilliant coaches who are maybe not so good at, I don't know, putting themselves on the internet with a YouTube film or something. Believe it or not, some people do struggle with that. I'm used to it, but maybe you don't like the idea of doing it. Maybe you've done it a million times. I don't know, but some people might want some help. How to attract attention. Coaches might want to get some help on how to attract attention without writing millions and millions of blog posts and getting exhausted and not actually getting anywhere with that. I wrote a book called How to Change the World, and it was published in 14 languages. So I'm in a reasonably good position to share stories about how to attempt to create big changes, whether it's at a global level or at a local level. And I mentioned in the previous video that people over there are making a lot of noise demolishing something. Well, I was part of a residents group that successfully beat some developers who were trying to do a thing over there. So changing the world could be just changing your own neighborhood, and I could share ideas on how to run a residents group and how to win at a planning meeting. I'm a journalist, so I could possibly help other journalists to sort of reposition themselves or even exit journalism altogether. I told you that I'm no longer a full-time journalist, not by any means, and I found it a great blessing to move out of full-time journalism, so maybe I could help some people with that. I'm whizzing past quite a lot of these because I don't want to go on and on. I waved in the last video, I waved at you my historical novel. So I could talk about how do you make a novel work? How do you structure the story? I could talk about how I got it published, which was a whole other thing. I crowdfunded it, so it was entirely paid for before it came out. And that was an enormous learning process in which I made so many mistakes. And I'm so happy now that I can share with other people things not to do. And I hope that if you continue listening to me, you'll find a lot of value in that. So the crowdfunding part of my novel is one thing, but also the storytelling. I've been a journalist and a storyteller. I could help people tell stories. I mentioned that I'm a performer. Well, I use theatrical improvisation, and I went into that just because I was curious, but I found some amazing things in it that have nothing to do with being a performer for the stage. They're about how we are in everyday life and how we could change our everyday performance. And I'm not going to say any more about that because it's a really important part of what this whole film series is about. And I'm going to come to it later, because the potential that we all have to change our impact and change the way that we are behaving is huge. And there's a very valuable resource for me in that. So what else have we got? Storytelling, people running a small business. I run a small business. People looking for speakers. I've been a speaker in very big venues, 5,000 people at once. So I'd like to say, hi, I'll be a speaker for you if it's the right people and the right venue. And on the other hand, I could also help people who are looking for a speaker. And I could say, well, if you're looking for a speaker, what you should think about is this, because we speakers are not very good at that or this, or we need some help with these other things. So I'm trying to look at all the ways that I could help or entertain people. I'm going to probably pack it in there. Now, there's one more, just because it's quite different from the others. I'm a father and I have a daughter. So is there something in there? Maybe I could do something about being a father of girls, or how does that work? What have I learned and what could I share? So it's very different from the others because it's not such an occupational thing. It's about me as a human being. And of course, there are millions of people out there who blog about being parents. So this is not news to you. The point is, I'm trying to show you that I've done an audit about all sorts of different parts of me, and I've only given you the smallest top layer of that exercise. It took me quite a long time, but I love doing it, and I really hope that you're going to either pause this video right now or wait till the end and devote enough time to really doing that. It's a hell of an exercise. It's really liberating and powerful. And I should say also that if you look into it, you'll find that many people who go online to learn things, the vast majority of people never do anything with what they've learned, don't take any further steps. I really hope for you, if you've already watched this much of my video series, that you won't be one of those people. Don't be one of those people. Do something to change your life, to help yourself to financial freedom. And that means getting out a pen and doing something and writing something. It's only writing about you, so that should be a pleasure. So now the next thing is having identified the areas that you work in, whether it's running residence groups or being a father of girls or being a writer or speaker or whatever. Once you've identified the area that you like most and you're most drawn to, the best thing you can do is, on another piece of paper, brainstorm the kinds of products and services that you could deliver in that space. So I'm going to give you some examples of this. And I just want to be really very clear in advance that, having talked about myself for a moment, I don't want to do that again. I want to talk about someone else. So I'm going to give you an example which is completely made up, but it's to have continuity with my previous video. It's a sort of a fictional version of my friend Richard, the guerrilla gardener. So this is completely fiction. I've made it up. Richard never told me any of this stuff. I'm just trying to think of the kinds of products and services that a person a little bit like Richard could come up with. So let's not call it Richard. Let's, just to be clear, let's call it Felicity. So what could Felicity do if she was somehow in some parallel universe had invented guerrilla gardening? So one thing that Felicity could do is write an ebook. Now you might want to get a pen and write down some of these categories, because there'll be things that you might want to move into. So you could do an ebook. You could create some kind of film series, as I'm doing here, describing how guerrilla gardening works, or what the troubles are at the beginning and how you get past them and move on to the next ones. You could design an app to be sold on and used on phones. You could, Felicity, you could offer personal help to anyone who wants a bit of assistance getting going as a guerrilla gardener. You could run live events in any venue that you care to name, if it's a local church hall, or it could be in one of London's biggest department stores where your product might be on sale. And the products that you put on sale might be little packets of seeds, or you might even go crazy and design gardening equipment and sell that. Or you might sell gardening tools. You might go into selling not your own tools, but someone else's. So you become effectively a subsidiary marketing division of a big gardening supplies company. You could write advertising and put it on your Facebook page and sell someone else's products through there, which is called affiliate marketing. You may have come across this. It's an incredibly big industry where people are selling other people's products. So you get a cut of every sale that people make because of your advertisement. If, Felicity, you decide to go into that kind of thing, you could become a sort of an expert on marketing generally, and you could help other guerrilla gardeners to set up websites. You could help them to set up their Facebook pages. You could become very technical and help them with the SEO on their websites. You could create your own blog, and if you get a big enough audience, put lots of ads on it and make lots of money from the ads which are on your blog. You could become a consultant to gardening companies or to seed suppliers. You can become a consultant to local authorities which struggle with how to deal with guerrilla gardeners. And you could have a private version of the blog, which would be some kind of membership site where individuals who want to keep in touch with you and learn from you will come to you again and again because you're producing incredible content. And that content doesn't have to be all about you and everything that you know. You could be the host of essentially a kind of a private platform where some of the world's best other guerrilla gardeners and people who know about other types of guerrilla activity or people who know about official gardening all come to talk to you, and you share this with your private audience, which is in a private membership circle. Now, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see that that could be a way to scale your income very quickly. If you had 1,000 members paying £2 a month, that's £2,000 a month. There are many, many membership sites which are paying way more than that. So let's say you have 1,000 members paying £10 a month, just for round numbers, that's £10,000 a month. And all you really need to do is supply 1 or 2 pieces of really good content each month. And this is in an area that you're already interested in. There are membership sites where people are paying £200, £300, £400. I'm sure more than that. I don't know about the other ones. But I'm sure that you can find a way to deliver something that is incredibly valuable and that people will want to pay some sort of repeat fee for. And the cost, by the way, of setting up a membership site is less than £3,000, and it really doesn't take very long. So you could do that, and you may be thinking, wow, yeah, I really want to do that. But of course, there's a big question. How do you get your 1,000 people in your membership group? I'm not saying that you want to do that. What I am saying is you write down the list of all of those things, the ebook, the film series, the gardening equipment, the affiliate sales, the events, the blog with ads on it, the membership group, all of those things, and then think very carefully about what kind of a temperament you have. If you like doing public speaking, as I do, maybe that's the one to go for. I do a lot of that on guerrilla gardening. If you hate public speaking, strike it off your list. If, like me, you're not really interested in spending too much time on very detailed technical work, don't go into the SEO for other people's websites. You won't enjoy it. So of course you're able to cross off the things on your great big brainstorming map of possible services and products that don't suit you. But more importantly, once you've crossed off the ones that you don't feel grabbed by, you must then think, what kind of income can you make from the ones that are left afterwards? If you're selling an ebook, you're going to have to sell a lot of ebooks to get a large amount of money because people don't pay a lot. If you're trying to do one-to-one help, you're going to be limited in the amount of time that you can scale up. Going back to our previous video, there's only a certain amount that you can leverage that. If you're putting it into a film, that's different. If you're asking people to pay for the film, that's different. So you really need to ask yourself, will this thing create the amount of income that you want it to create? Because you know how much you need to give yourself the financial freedom to do the creative projects that you're already doing and to continue to put out the things that you want to put out. So it really also depends a lot on your niche. I mentioned the guerrilla gardening thing because it has worldwide appeal and there are people who love doing that. And it's relatively large. Any number of people might want to beautify the streets where they live. If you're going into something incredibly small, then you have to think about how that's going to affect the income. So My suggestion is that you think very carefully through all of these things, and you might end up choosing to create some kind of membership site, whether it's a paid membership where people get exclusive content that's hidden from the rest of the world, or with a blog that attracts a lot of advertising. Something along those lines is certainly the easiest way for you to build an enormous readership and audience, and for you to attract the kind of people who will pay a regular fee, which gives you consistency of income. And the setup costs are very low. It costs little more than £3,000, possibly less, and can be done in a few weeks. So I'm going to leave you with that thought. But going back to the point that I just mentioned, because this is really imperative to resolve this, how are you going to get people to join your tribe, your group, your crowd? How are you going to get them into your membership group or to come to your website? That's something I'm going to deal with tomorrow. I need a glass of water. I've been talking long enough. So I look forward to seeing you next time. As ever, please, if you feel like sharing this with your friends or colleagues, that would be wonderful. Till then, bye.